So we are going to be premiering our first set of disease pages. It's going to be for the first 5 diseases out of our 22 that we have. So we're going to have that premiere and talking about the different auto plus inflammatory arthritis symptoms. So for auto, what we have as the generalized symptoms would be severe fatigue or exhaustion, and that may not be helped by caffeine and stimulants and can happen even after a long period of rest. So that's something that has to be really observed. Like, people have to be very mindful when they're trying to take track of their symptoms. Like, symptom tracking is super important when you're trying to get a diagnosis. I can't emphasize that. Even, I would like to emphasize it as much as I can, because having the exact times of how long your pain or fatigue has lasted is super important. So severe fatigue and exhaustion. The next auto symptom would be brain fog, which we here at our organization talk about a lot, because we do all have, yes, most of us do have the diseases. A lot of our brains may not be working at the same time. So we do have to kind of work with that and make sure that we're super understanding when someone's just like, I'm having a bit of a brain fog day, I'm going to take it light. So that's one of the biggest things. Another is flu-like symptoms. So having nausea, muscle weakness. And I think that one's really big, is the muscle weakness. I get really weak muscles in my shoulders and my quads.
And I don't think it's like my quads. Yes. I'll be walking up the stairs like, oh, wow, I just feel like I'm out of it's out of energy in my muscles is what it feels like.
No, exactly. And you're not tired necessarily, but my muscles are tired. So that one's really big for me. And another one is fever. And the funniest thing is that I've never experienced fevers with my lupus, and that's one of the biggest symptoms that they ask you for. So everybody's symptoms are going to be extremely unique.
Yes, and that's a disclaimer that we're definitely going to put as we pull this data and pull these resources together for you, is that kind of asterisk. Not everybody is the same, and there could be a variation. And just for the fevers in itself, for me, I kept saying I have a low-grade fever. Every time that happened, but my regular temperature in Fahrenheit is 97.4. So sometimes even 97.1. So I've got a low, because 98.6 is considered normal. But if I'm like 98.8 or 98.9, that is a fever for me.
A fever for you. Yeah.
For me. And no matter how many times I say that to medical professionals, they scoff at me. And I just think that's so ridiculous. If my regular is always, when I take it and it's normal, it's 97.4, why is that unheard of? That is a low-grade fever. But anyway,
especially when it is a low-grade fever. And again, symptom tracking would therefore give you the data to present to you, yes, to the doctor. If you literally take your temperature every single morning and it says that number, then that would be very good to give them.
That's a good indicator. And that's what most medical people need. They need data. They need proof, especially if your blood work is showing up negative, you don't have imaging, and you don't have anything else. You can have your symptoms tracked, right? You can have your own map of what you're experiencing. And then there's another leg of this that we're called the inflammatory arthritis symptoms. And they are, when we're talking, we also, thank you for saying the inflammatory arthritis, because I kept saying auto plus arthritis, and I got to get that out of my head, because arthritis is an umbrella word. The singular is always referred to as osteo. And we really need to make it very clear that it's inflammatory type of arthritis associated with having an autoimmune or autoinflammatory disease. So that is a big one, because if we just said autoimmune plus arthritis, that could be like any autoimmune disease plus degenerative osteoarthritis. So we got to get the language clear. So thanks for keeping me online, Leila.
That's what I'm here for, Tiff.
That is. So one of the things that we have on here is that severe stiffness. And one of the things that we've talked about is it's different than the other type of arthritis because it is typically just so when you're at rest. So when you wake up first thing in the morning or you've been sitting for a long period of time, it is this unbelievable feeling of stiffness. And it's not just in an ankle. It's not just in one knee, right?
It's whole body.
Yes. And that's an important one because osteoarthritis, while you can have it in many locations, it's localized to the area of damage. So this is going to feel like, oh, my body, I feel like I'm, people like, I'll say, I feel like I'm getting old, and it's just, you don't realize that something else is going on. And we've also made the comment that it can feel like all of a sudden your mattress is not comfortable anymore. And you're trying to justify it in your brain, what's been going on. What are the other ones here that we have, Leila?
Another one would be the episodes of joint pain. So that's, again, a flare, or it also can be called jumping pain because it can jump into different locations. And these, we say that it's an episode of time, but that can really last for hours, for days, or for weeks. And that's also, again, going to be different for everybody too.
Absolutely. Right.
And it says here also that we wanted to emphasize that typically joint pain will coincide with one or more auto symptoms. And when we're naming these symptoms down, like we said, you don't have to have every single one. It's more of like a pick list of like, okay, I have this one, I have that one. And okay, let me observe if I might have this one, write it down, take down the notes, and then bring all of those things together to therefore present as maybe I could have this diagnosis. So,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. That we have to not fall into the mental trap of maybe I did injure myself, or maybe that joint pain or that enthesitis, that tendon pain is because I went to the gym and I worked out for too long. If it's repeating itself and it's lasting, you've noticed it for longer than 6 weeks, that's considered chronic. So that often gets dismissed, especially two ways. You're young, you injured yourself. You're old, I'm just getting old.
Yeah, and we call that medical self-gaslighting. That's one of the things that we do is, we try to talk ourselves into, oh, you're just thinking that you're in pain. Like, you're not really in pain. Like, a lot of us go through that. Even with me having my diagnosis for so long, sometimes I'm like, am I really in pain, or am I just making an excuse for myself to not go out today? And it's like, even if you are, it's okay. You have to be okay with that.